Hey everyone, this is Chase of Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and today I'm going to help you decide which Sidi off-road boot is best for you. All right, hello and welcome. If you are boot shopping and you're looking at Sidis and you're having a hard time deciding, do you want the X3, the Crossfire 2, the 3, or maybe the Atojo? Today we're going to go through and we're going to compare these side by side. We'll talk about the differences between each. We'll talk about price, the fitment, construction, the sole design, buckles, protection, all the categories to help you decide which one is going to be best for you. If you have questions or comments as we go through and we talk about these, we want to get those answered for you, so make sure to leave those below as we talk about them. And also, I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you have a Sidi boot? If you do, which one is it? And what's been your experience? Do you like it? What are the things you don't like about it? That's going to help other riders out who are looking to pick up their next set. And also remember, we do have product spotlights on each one of these. Today I'll be very brief, so go watch the product spotlights. That is where we go into full detail and give you the most information possible. But starting out, price-wise, the X3, this is the mid-level option from Sidi. You're going to be in the mid-300 range. When you jump up to the Crossfire 2, you're going to be around that $500 mark. You go up a little bit from there with the Crossfire 3. And then with the Atojo, kind of interesting, the Atojo is actually the latest offering in their lineup. And you've got top-level riders that are wearing this, but you actually go down a little bit in price from the Crossfire 3. You're going to be about $525 for the Atojo. So those are your prices. As far as fitment goes, I've ridden in Sidi boots, and generally speaking, Sidis fit pretty narrow. If you look at rider feedback, you're going to see the same thing. I don't have a really wide foot or a narrow foot. I'm kind of right in the middle. And sometimes Sidis are pretty dang narrow, so just something to keep in mind there. The length also is one thing you want to notice. It's not going to be for all sizing, but you're going to see that they have certain half sizes. So for me, example, I wear size 9 in all of the boots. They don't have a 9 in Sidi. They just have a 9.5 or an 8.5, and I'm kind of right between those sizes. So for me, I step down to an 8.5 when I ride in a Sidi, but if you're on the upper end of a 9, I would say go to a 9.5. But aside from that, they're very comfortable boots. They've got a lot of padding around the ankle area. And one thing about them being narrow, and this is what I want to point out, is that if you do have a wider foot, but you want a pair of Sidis, the boot options in the 2 and the 3 that have the TA sole, the traditional application sole, those are going to be a little bit wider, about 3 to 5 millimeters wider is what I was told from Sidi. So if you're looking for a wider option, then the TA sole would be a little bit better route to take. But remember, we do have our fit guarantee, so no matter what boot you buy, doesn't matter if it's Sidi or any other brand, if you don't like how it fits, send it back to us in brand new, unused condition. We want to make sure to get size and the fit that you want, so we give you free shipping both ways on your first exchange. Other quick note on fitment, because this is a common question that we get, is calf sizing. So with the X3 and the Atojo, no adjustability as far as the shin plate goes. When you get to the Crossfire 2 and 3, these do, however, have an adjustable shin plate. So if you have large calves and you're wearing knee braces, you can make these larger to fit that a little bit better. So that would definitely be one thing that you'd want to consider. Let's talk about construction. This is something that Sidi is known for. They use a base material called Techno Micro. It's proprietary to Sidi. All of these boots use it, and it's a synthetic leather, which they say is going to last longer than just traditional leather, and it's lighter weight. So Techno Micro, and then they all have a lot of hard TPU, in other words, a lot of hard plastic on here. So construction, aside from some of these having more hard plastic, is going to be very similar. Buckle design, another common feature that these all have. They all utilize the same buckles, which I think work really, really well from the X3 all the way up to the Atojo. They're all replaceable. You'll just notice that the one big difference as you work your way up is that the Atojo actually just has 3 buckles instead of 4, and I will talk about why they did that with this boot here in just a moment. But same buckle design. Protection, that's probably going to be one of the biggest reasons why you're investing in a good set of boots. So let's talk about what you're getting as you work your way from the X3 all the way up to the Atojo. With the X3, you have a dual pivot system, so on the medial and the lateral side. So it does a great job. It offers good support side to side. It also just, like I said, when you put a pair of Sidis on, I think they all do a great job of securing the ankle, keeping it nice and snug, so you get little, very little movement once you have these cinched down. But you have a pivot system on the X3, which again offers good support, and you do have right here in the back a little bit of a hyperextension stop. Aside from that, you've got a lot of hard plastic on here, so good impact protection. But as you work your way up to the Crossfire 2, this is where you're going to see a bump up in the amount of support and protection. you'll see that they have their pivot system on the lateral and the medial side. But the first thing that really stands out about these is just how much more hard plastic impact protection that you're getting. So you can see with the shin plate, with the medial side, the lateral side, just a lot more impact protection. Also something to note with the Crossfire 2, when you look at the medial side here, you have this insert right here, which is a really hard nylon material. That is just a little bit more added protection and durability for the inside of the boot. That's replaceable. You also have this insert right here on the inside of the ankle too, which again, a little bit more protection there, but also just adds to the durability overall. You'll also notice too that with the Crossfire 2 and 3, there's a lot of screws on here and there's a lot of replaceable parts. So anything that you see on these two boots that has a screw means that is replaceable. So you're adding to the durability as well. But overall with the Crossfire 2, you're just bumping up in the amount of support for the ankle, more support laterally, as well as just impact protection in general. Now from there to the 3, when you look at these two boots side by side, they look very, very similar. A little bit different as far as the design goes over top the toe box, but the big difference between these two is first of all with the ankle pivot system. So when they went from the 2 to the 3, you can see that they use more of a gliding hinge. You can see this screw right here, and what that's doing is giving some hyperextension protection. So as you hyperextend, this screw basically meets a lockout point right here and just helps guard against that a little bit more. So a little bit more hyperextension protection with the ankle pivot system. But aside from that, when you compare these two side by side, they are pretty dang similar. You've got the insert right here, which again is replaceable. Aside from that, they're very similar. There is a difference in the soles, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. As you work up to the Atojo, with the Atojo being an all-new boot, again, they redesigned this. So you're not going to get as much hard impact protection on the Atojo as you are with the Crossfire 2 and the Crossfire 3. However, they have a different ankle pivot system. So you can see right here, they actually have a pivot point on the upper and lower part of the ankle on the medial and the lateral side. And what I like about the Atojo when they made this is that they refined it to make it more low profile on the inside to get a better contact when you're riding the motorcycle. So if you compare those, you can see with that insert you have on the Crossfire 2 and 3, it just makes the boot stick a little bit farther out. But with the Atojo, after riding in these, you definitely get a little bit better interface on the inside of the motorcycle. Now, one thing on the Atojo that you're not going to see on the other boots is they have this new insert right here between the two lower buckles. This does a couple things. It helps with hyperflexion. It also helps with hyperextension. So a little bit different system there. Another cool little feature about the Atojo is that this insert is removable. So rider preference. If you want it, leave it in there. If you don't, you just take these two screws out. You can pop that out. So that's protection on the Atojo. As far as the inside goes with the burn guards on all of these, give you a look here. With the X3, you've got a suede burn guard up here on the top, but as you work up to the 2 and 3, you've got these rubber inserts which offer a little bit more grip. And then like I said with the Atojo, you've got an even larger burn guard on the inside, a grippy rubber material. This boot to me offers a lot of grip when you're squeezing the bike. So last thing we'll talk about is the sole, and then I do want to talk about weight real quickly. So with the soles on these, with the X3, you're just going to get the TA sole, which stands again for traditional application. It's a stitched on sole. It's been around for a very long time. And with the TA, like I talked about with fit, it does make the boots just a little bit wider. But also what they say is that with this type of sole, you get a little bit more feel on the foot pegs. So maybe a little bit easier to feel your brake pedal and just kind of know where your feet are sitting on the pegs. As you get to the 2 and the 3, now you get the SRS system, which stands for Sole Replacement System. And this is something that is unique to Sidi. They're the only boot manufacturer doing this, to where if you want to replace the sole, you can do it right from your own home. But what's unique is that they actually have screws that hold the sole on for you. So it just makes it easier to interchange the soles if you do wear one out. And also with the Crossfire 2, they actually have an enduro sole that you could buy and then exchange that for the moto sole that comes on here. But with the 2 and 3, you can see there's a difference here. With the 2, the entire sole is replaceable, so you've got a lot of screws going around the perimeter. As you get to the 3, when they redesigned this, they made it to where they have their dovetail system, so the insert that's replaceable is a little bit smaller, and you don't have as many screws that you have to take out to interchange the sole. And they improved the durability, they say, with the front and the rear, to where you don't need to worry about changing this portion out, just that centerpiece. In fact, I have a rider here at Rocky Mountain who's been riding Crossfire 3s for a long time. He's replaced the soles in these. That's one of the features he loves, is because when it does wear out, he can just do it from his own house. So that's the SRS system. The Atojo does have the same sole as the Crossfire 3. That is one thing that did not change with the Atojo, but they don't offer the Atojo with the traditional sole. With the Crossfire 3 and the 2, again, if you want the traditional sole, they do offer these two with that option. So last category that we'll cover that I think might be a decision maker for some people is just weight. So with the X3 not having as much hard plastic and removable parts, it is going to be lighter than the Crossfire 2 or the Crossfire 3. That is one thing I've noticed about the Crossfire 2 and 3 is that they are, a little bit on the heavier end for a premium boot, but when you look at how much impact protection, just how much you're getting here with all the replaceable parts, it's understandable why they're a little bit heavier. That is one difference between these two and the Atojo that is worth mentioning. That's something that I noticed when I rode in the Atojo for the first time is how lightweight these feel, because in a size 9.5 or 8.5, excuse me, these are about 8 ounces lighter per boot than the Crossfire 3. So it's a noticeable difference in weight. One thing just to keep in mind again with the Atojo is when you compare it to the Crossfire 2 and 3, it doesn't have as much hard plastic or impact protection as you're gonna get with these two. And that does it. That is all 4 of these boots compared in different categories. Here's a little recap and to kind of help you decide. Here's what I would consider looking at these 3. If you're looking at the the X3 and you're looking for just a budget-friendly option that's still a great boot, great construction, good support, you really can't go wrong with this. Just know that you don't have the SRS sole option with the X3. If you want the most protection possible from a Sidi boot, then the Crossfire 2 or the 3 would be the better option just because of how much hard plastic impact protection that you're getting. You just have to consider the differences that we talked about between the hinge system and the soles. Aside from that, they're very similar. And then when you get to the Atojo, again, a little bit less expensive than the Crossfire 3. What I would consider with the Atojo is, do you want a more streamlined version? You've got just the 3 buckles instead of the 4, less replaceable parts, but it's lighter. You get a little bit closer to the bike, so better when you're squeezing, and just a more streamlined, if you don't like everything that's going on with the Crossfire 2 and 3, a much more simple, toned down version. That's how I would help you decide. But again, if you do have more questions or comments, we want to get those answered for you, so make sure to leave those below. To grab your next pair of these, click on the link, or head over to RockyMountainATVMC.com. And remember, orders over $75 ship free. And don't forget, we do have our buyer's guides. If you haven't quite made up your mind, you're not sure maybe what other brands to look at, watch the buyer's guides that we have for all the premium boots. We have our versus videos where I take these top level boots, I compare them to other premium boots from other brands to ultimately help you decide and make a good decision. I am Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.